What's up everyone, Jordan here at Totally Bored, and today I'm bringing you 5 mini reviews based on games I've played in the last few months. Now I'm going to start off pretty strong here with Clank Catacombs. So this was recommended by a lot of you guys in the comments, and I've actually had my eye on this game for a long time coming now. Owned the game for like 3-4 months, just got a chance to play it a few days ago, and I love this game. Holy crap, it's so good. If you've never heard of the Clank games, or if you don't know what they are a deck building push your luck game where you're taking control of a mercenary going into the map. In this version it's a catacomb, and you're trying to get as much treasure, as much loot as you can and escape alive. Now there's always going to be some kind of monster trying to attack you or kill you each and every round. In this version it's a dragon lurking in the catacombs. And so as far as Clank, the name goes, that actually represents noise that your character's making. So various cards you're going to be playing throughout the game are going to add Clank to a pile. Clank is in the form of cubes. You're going to add it to the pile. Anytime the dragon attacks, you're going to take all the cubes in the pile, put them in a bag, shuffle the bag up, and then pull out cubes. If your cube is drawn, that's how much damage you take. So very, very brief overview of the game, but I love this version so much. I think it's kind of unanimously at least the most replayable version, because every time you explore a new room in this game, you actually flip over a random tile that you shuffle at the beginning of the game. And there's I think there's like 24, 28 tiles in the game. So a lot of variation. Every time you play this, your catacomb, your map is gonna be different, 100%. You can also change the orientation of the tile when you bring it out. So really enjoyed that aspect of it, and man, this game just fits a certain niche in my collection that I was really missing. You know, it has some pretty deep strategy with the deck building, and you can really, make the deck as just perfect as you want it to be, but at the same time you have that push your luck mechanism where it's out of your control. You know, you can try to keep going and explore more rooms and try to get that a little bit of loot to get you more victory points at the end of the game. But if you wait too long and your health is dwindling down, you actually have to make sure you can backtrack and get out through the entrance that you came in from. And on the game that I played, I died one space away from escaping, and I ended the game with 0 points. You know, if you can't get out, you lose everything, and it freaking sucks, but I still had a great time. We actually all died, so it kind of made it a little better. I played a 3-player game, had so much fun with this. Honestly, I'm so glad I got a chance to table it, and I've really, really been wanting to play it again. I was just telling my roommate, I was like, man, I've been thinking about Clank since we played it, and I really, really want to play it again. So with that being said, I am giving Clank Catacombs a 9 out of 10. I have not given away too many 9s. I think it's less than 10, maybe less than 15. But yeah, this game's very, very good. Very much enjoy it. I love the replayability, the simplicity, but also the depth. And yeah, Clank Catacombs is awesome. Fully recommend it. Next up, we have Masters of the Universe. Now, this is a game set in the Heman universe, which I don't know anything about, so please forgive me. I'm a 90s baby. But you're taking control of either a hero or an enemy. So the game mode we played was a 1 versus all scenario. I was the baddies. I controlled Skeletor, Ninjor, and who else? Beastman. And then my friends were different heroes. I can't remember who they were, but they were trying to search the map for He-Man and then escort him back to the spawn point, and it was my job to prevent that from happening. I'll start with what I liked. I did like the phases in the game. So you have the kind of strategy or planning phase where you go through, both teams actually go through and select the cards. Well, you use all the cards that you're going to play, so it's 3 for each of the characters you're controlling, and then a strategy phase or a strategy card, excuse me, for the enemy player, and you put them face down in the order you want to take those actions, and then it's the other team's turn to kind of plan, and they actually openly discuss what they want to do, you know, what character they want to attack first, and so on. So I have an idea of what they want to do, but they can also kind of fabricate it, so they can talk about it, and then whoever's placing the cards down can kind of mix and match it and throw me off a little bit. So I like that. It added some spice to the game and the gameplay, which I enjoyed. Thematically, this was kind of just, I don't want to say a miss for me, just because I don't know anything about it. It didn't take me out of the gameplay, but it didn't add anything for me personally. The battling and the actual fighting was rolling dice. You do have some powers you can roll, so that made it fun. I did like that aspect of the game. It's not really something I'm really itching to come back to, but I would totally play this again if asked. So I am giving Masters of the Universe a 7 out of 10. I also got a chance to play Wyrmspan. This is the newest release from Stonemaier Games. Using the Wingspan system, it does tweak a lot of things though, so not to get confused, it's not the same game, it's not a complete reskin. There are several changes to this, which I personally like a lot more. So I gave Wingspan a 7, still a very solid score. Thematically, doesn't interest me. The engine building was good. I didn't like some of the strategy that you could kind of cheese in that game. I've only played Wingspan like 3 times, but I immediately knew that I could cheese eggs at the end of the game and like get a ton of victory points. In Wyrmspan, there's still eggs, but they're a lot harder to get. Very valuable. And I think overall, this game just adds a variety of things that takes it kind of to the next level. This does feel more difficult, more challenging. I think it's a lot more punishing if you misplay. I feel like Wingspan, you can kind of get away with just doing what you want, having fun with that, and still getting a solid score. And Wyrmspan, I'm trash at the game. I did terrible. And as soon as I did something, like after I, passed and my roommate started playing, I was like, I shouldn't have done that. That was bad. But that actually is enjoyable for me because it is giving me the opportunity to learn more about the game, how to be more efficient with my turns. I really like the Dragon Guild, which is a separate board where you are really just moving your piece in a circle around the Dragon Guild, but it's going to net you a variety of resources or points and all kinds of cool things. I like that aspect a lot. In Wingspan, you could just attract birds by spending the resources on them and then putting them in your player board. In Wyrmspan, you actually have to excavate caves before you can attract the dragon, so it adds a level of depth to this, which I enjoy. Takes a little more, I don't want to say more thought necessarily, but more intention with your turns, and it does require you to pay attention to resources that you have or resources you can acquire in the future turns. And I like that about this game a lot. This is something that, a game that I'm looking forward to play again. I think some of the complaints I had with Wingspan are somewhat present in this game. I think the engine building feels, I don't want to say clunky, but somewhat for me. I also think there's so many cards in the deck that it's sometimes, it's just a lot of it's luck, right? If I'm really looking for a Dragon Guild ability, you're just at the will of the deck, and sometimes it doesn't work out. I've only played this once, so I don't want to speak too soon about this game, but overall, enjoyed it, looking forward to future plays, and I'm giving Wyrmspan an 8 out of 10. I also got to play Aeon's End. So in this cooperative deck building game, you are taking control of a hero, and you're trying to defeat a terrible monster and save the town from destruction. There is a wide range of heroes to choose from. There's a lot of different baddies you can fight against. So I think as far as replayability, there's a lot of it packed into this package. I'm going to be upfront with you. I would much rather play a game like Marvel Champions or even Lord of the Rings, the living card game, over this. I'll start with what I enjoyed. So I did like the positive player interaction in Aeon's End. So, each character is going to have their own unique ability, and some of them are going to have powers which will benefit your teammates, give them more resources or more power for their kind of ultimate ability or whatever. So I enjoyed that. I thought that was cool. The deck building was pretty simplistic, so it was easy to wrap your head around, pretty easy to learn, I feel like, for how much depth is in the game. Thematically, didn't really pull me in. I'm not sure why, because I like fantasy, but there was just something, maybe it was like the art or the production, not really sure. Didn't suck me in though. I also felt like it was very restrictive, which I am not a huge fan of. And it's not like I don't like a challenge, but I just felt like it was too restrictive. And one example of that is in this game, your hero is going to have different spell slots. I think you have either 4 or 5. Well, in order to unlock any of them after the first one, you have these little boxes. I forget what they're called, but you have to spend energy or resources to rotate the box 90 degrees. And once you get it all the way rotated to where it's pointing upwards, then you unlock that spell slot. And it just never felt fun or good to spend my resources or my energy to do that little 90-degree turn. You can also use that energy to prevent the boss from rotating his 90 degrees. So all of those little things just didn't feel fun to me. I'm trying to feel strong, overpowered, not easy necessarily, but like Marvel Champions, I think they do a really good job of making you really feel strong like that superhero. And it's still hard. If you play Marvel Champions, you can make it really, really tough, just like this game. So, those are some things that really knocked this down a little bit for me. I didn't hate the game. I would play it again, but I just didn't. It's not something I'm really, really trying to come back to. So for those reasons, I'm giving Aeon's End a 6 out of 10. Last but not least, I got the chance to play Hegemony. Now, I'm going to be upfront. This is going to require a full video review, but I do want to touch on this in this mini review just to let you guys know my first impressions. But in this game, you're taking control of a class in society. So they have the working class, the middle class, the capitalists, and then the state. So in my game, I was the capitalist. Every class is going to have their own scoring and winning condition. Mine was make as much money as you can possibly make. That's it. Very simple, straightforward, very challenging. I will say we had some pretty crucial rules wrong. So we're going to all play this again correctly and see how it turns out. I got absolutely massacred to the point where I actually wondered, I was like, are we missing something here? I'm not like the best board gamer on the planet, but I feel like when there's that much disparity, I knew something was a little off, and I ended up being correct. So we're going to play it again with the rules right and see how it turns out. I still may get demolished, who knows. But as far as gameplay, I'll start with what I like. I really, really like the interaction in this game. It's almost like a role-playing game. Maybe that's just how we played it during our playthrough, but you have a phase where you are voting on different policies, and these policies can be anything from taxes to wages to what else? Foreign trade. There's all kinds of stuff, and every single policy is going to affect you in some way. And so when you're voting to, either lower or raise taxes, or, as the capitalist, I was wanting to lower minimum wage. I'm trying to pay my dudes less, unfortunately, just because I need more money in my pocket. And whenever you vote, you basically vote with cubes that are pulled out of a bag, and that determines the outcome of the vote. But there's also a little bit of extra flair you can do where you can use influence, which is a separate resource to kind of swing the vote. And how you do it is you all gather all the influence into your hand. You kind of secretly determine how much you want to use, hold your hand out in the center, and you all reveal it to determine the outcome of the vote. And it's super exciting, super fun. Some of the most emotional times I've had in board games. What happened at the end was I really, really needed the minimum wage to be lower because I was trying to save money and not use all of the money and capital that I had gained throughout the course of the game. And right at the end, there was an election or a vote to increase and max out the wages, and it passed. And I was so sad because I had to pay all my people so much. I didn't calculate how much I was needing to pay them if that scenario happened. I didn't even factor that into happening. So it made for such a fun experience. I think just in general, the conversation that you're having with the people around you is so engaging, so fun. I was trying to lower taxes, so I was trying to, lower wages. So I was trying to get the working class on my side because I'm like, hey man, we gotta pay our people less. We need more money, right? Whereas the state and the working class, they were trying to get more money. So you kind of have this divide between classes, but it's not always the same class. You're going to agree with some classes on, taxes, for example, whereas minimum wage, it's going to be in agreement with a different class. So it really, honestly, is very educational. That's another aspect. This could unironically be used in like high schools to teach kids how government and how the classes interact and work, and it can really show people how that divide occurs. The tug of war and the push and the pull with policies and stuff. I don't know. I thought it was so fascinating to play this game. A few negatives I have. It's extremely long. That I don't really necessarily care about that, but our first play took 7 hours. That's long. That's Twilight Imperium. You know what I mean? also, I think thematically, this game is not going to grab everyone. I've learned throughout the course of being in the hobby that I try not to judge a book by its cover, and I'm so glad I didn't with Hegemony. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of some other negatives that I had. The capitalist specifically felt a little, not on rails, but I did feel limited to what I could do. That did play somewhat in part by us playing incorrectly. Basically, the state is able to produce education as well as healthcare, and they're limited to having 6 of these resources at any time, and we didn't know that. So the person who was playing the state had like 30, 40 healthcare and also education. So all the working class had to do was buy from them, and it was super duper cheap, super accessible. Whereas normally, if they were so limited, the working class would be forced to go and buy from either, you know, the capitalists or the middle class. So that was kind of, that could explain some of that, the issue there. But all in all, really, really liked Hegemony. Looking forward to playing it again with the correct rules. But my first impressions is coming out at a 9 out of 10. And this has, you know, this has room to go up. It has room to go down. Who knows? I'll keep you guys posted. And I do plan to do a full video of this, but I did just want to let you guys know my first impressions. And that wraps up my mini reviews for this past month. If you guys like this video, give me a like and a subscribe. And if you hated this video, please roast me in the comments below. This is Jordan here at Totally Bored. We'll see you next time.